Michelle here. I hope you're having a great day. It's been such a long time since I've shot a video. Today is the second day, or yes, my children's second day of school. So summer is over in our house, and yeah, summer went by quickly. And in my last video, I talked about debating whether I wanted to go back to work part time or full time or whatever, or work on my business. And like over the summer, I didn't get much of anything done personally. Like I got my little self care things done as far as like walking, which is something I really have loved to do. I haven't been able to do that because I've been having some struggles of not feeling well after I walk. So, working on transitioning or keeping a better watch on my health and taking care of some health things so that that isn't something I can incorporate back into my life. But right now, I'm not walking, and I might start this week just to get like test it out to see if things are better. But at the beginning of the summer, I had to stop because I would literally feel like my body was shutting down by noon every day. And you can do that with kids running around all day. So, the reason why I wanted to go back to work, or why I do want to go back to work, I haven't found anything yet that fits my list of criteria. But the reason why I want to go back to work is because I really want to get serious about paying off debt. I've said this before, but in my previous video, I was like, I'm going to do it on my own terms. And I'm going to do it the abundant way where I set aside certain amounts of money for this, that, and the third. But the things that I feel like I dropped the ball on was I was manifesting the extra money, but I wasn't really giving it a purpose ahead of time. Or when it came to me, I didn't give it a purpose. I let things come up, like, emergencies come up when you get extra amounts of money or you feel like it's an emergency, or like little things would come up and I would throw the money to that instead of taking the time to sit down and figure out, okay, this is how I want to spend this manifested money, or manifesting money for a certain or a specific thing. So the money would kind of dwindle. And then another thing, I wasn't tracking the money. So I couldn't tell you where the extra money went that I manifested. Or I could tell you, but I couldn't tell you down to the cent or down to the dollars. Which really sucks because I know that I could have paid off a good chunk of my debt just from the first 7 months of this year. But I haven't done that. So the beginning of June, I read the Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey, and I had listened to this book twice prior, but when you listen to stuff, you're not really absorbing all of it. So that is pretty much what happened. And when I read the book, I was like, okay, it's time, because we really want to be in a house, and right now we could get into a house, but there would be stress every month. And we've been at a point where we've been stressed out about bills. And I do not want to go back to that. It feels good to know that every bill is being paid and there's excess or extra. And when I feel like if we bought a house this year, or maybe even next year, I don't know how things are going to go, like there would be this stress along with it. And we'd be back to feeling like we're strapped for cash. Is that the term? I don't know. But I don't want to be there again. Like, I've been there, don't want to go there. I know better, so I'm going to do better. So that is why I want to go back to work. Like I said, I haven't found anything, and I feel like that was like the universe is looking out for me, because yesterday when my children came home, because my youngest is in pre-K, my second, or my middle child, is in second grade, and my oldest child is in fifth grade. It was like a bomb went off. Not like a bad bomb, but I was used to this peace and quiet all day. I had 7 hours of peace and quiet, which I've never had aside from like if my kids go away for a couple of days at a time. Like I've never had 7 hours where it's like, these are my 7 hours, and then my children come home, and then we do it all again. Like I've never had that experience, because my kiddie breaks come from when my parents take my kids for a weekend or a week or whatever. So I've never had that experience. So peace and quiet all day. And then I go pick them up, and it's like everybody wants to talk at once, and everybody's hungry, and there's homework, and there's all these things. And I was just thinking to myself, how in the heck could I go back to work and do this every single day and be a present mom, a happy mom, and a mom that just feels on purpose? And not to say that I still don't want to go back to work. Like, I do want to go back to work, or I don't know. I want things to be on my terms, and that is currently what I'm going through. But I'm grateful that I have that option. Like, I don't have to go back to work, but I would love to, so that we can get our debt eliminated in a smaller amount of time. So that's where I'm at. But yes, yesterday they came home. Everybody was like talking and wanting me to hear their stories and everything. And I was just like, okay, like, I have to find a system. I feel like everything we get faced with in life is just like a way for us to work through it. So I was like, okay, I need to figure out a system to be able to have everybody feel like they're being heard and nobody feeling neglected. So that is what I'm tweaking a few things today, and hopefully they go well. So we'll see. But yes, I read the Total Money Makeover, and the number one thing, because I feel like I've read lots of financial books and I have gradually gotten better over time. But this is a little step further, because you intentionally have to give everything. Like, if you do it the Dave Ramsey way, need to give every dollar an intention, which I feel like I've never done before. I've sat down and I wrote down a budget, like, at the beginning of a month. Like, I've done that forever, but I've never, like, sat down and made sure that I stuck to it to the T, or that I accounted for every little cent. Like, car registration's coming up, we need to be able to pay for that, or something's gonna cost extra. Like, I never accounted for that. I just wrote down the ballpark figure and was like, okay, we have enough money. But you could do that and stuff could come up, and then you just don't have the money for it. So the Dave Ramsey plan, first of all, you get $1,000 emergency fund, which we have. Secondly, you pay down all your debt except for your home. Third, you start working on other stuff, but we're not even there. So if you want to check that out, I'll put the baby steps below, but I'm not there yet, so I'm not talking about it yet. But the biggest struggle has been the writing down of the budget and sticking to it. So right now I'm at a point where I write down all of our regular bills, and then I factor in food, which I'm pretty good about sticking to the food budget. I'm a pretty good couponer, and that's like, I've done it for so long that I'm just really good at sticking to the food budget and couponing and thinking ahead of time, okay, this is how many meals we need to prepare with this amount of money, and I can do that, and these are the meals that I can prepare. So I'm pretty good at that, but I do want to get better at that. So the things that I'm kind of working on are, like, remembering certain things, like the kids need XYZ. So maybe, like, the girls, thinking ahead of time, okay, are they going to need new leotards for gymnastics? And right now my parents are funding the gymnastics fund, but we will be taking that over the first of the year. So one, thinking about, okay, are they going to need new gymnastic suits in 2 weeks? So we need to go ahead and factor that in, and not letting that kind of creep up on us and then looking crazy like, geez. And then with the gymnastics coming up in January, I don't know if I'm going to be working. I don't know what my income is going to be. I'm not going to assume any of that. So going ahead and setting aside, like, I think they call it sinking funds, where something is coming up, so you go ahead and plan ahead for it. So like Christmas or holidays, or like your car registration, you go ahead and plan ahead for those things. And then I'm gonna have to take a pause and hopefully I can remember where all right, I am back. I think I was talking about sinking funds before I left off. Okay, so sinking funds are where something big is coming up, so you plan ahead and you start saving little by little for those things. So some of the sinking funds we have right now are a car sinking fund, a gymnastics, which I think I'm just gonna label it kids. So for like gymnastics and clothes, or maybe I need to split that up. I don't know. I'm just gonna label it kids. So like kids need clothes throughout the year, so we have a sinking fund for that. We have a sinking fund for car maintenance, and one of the big things that's coming up is I'm gonna need new tires for my car, so that. Christmas and holidays, like Christmas and gifts, that has a sinking fund, and I think that's it right now. Like really, we're just at bare bones budgeting because we're still trying to figure this out. Like my partner, still trying to get him on track. I mean, he's on board. He says he's on board, but it's hard to track his expenses. He's at work all day. Sometimes some of the tracking falls through the cracks. So that is one thing we're struggling with. We're struggling with tracking totally as a whole because what I do is I put everything that needs to be paid out into the account, including our straight talk or my straight talk. He pays his straight talk with cash, but I pay my straight talk through my account. So I figure out everything I need to put in my account and I pay everything to the cent out of the account. If anything else, like I usually typically before I make the budget, I make sure I know what each bill is to the cent, and then I put all that into my account, and then I pay it like that. Usually I used to round up, but now I'm like, you're supposed to take every single extra cent and put it toward that. So I pay everything out of the account. Everything else I put in cash. So right now our dryer is broken, so I put a certain amount of cash to the side for us to go to the laundromat and get our clothes dried. What else? Like kids items like school supplies, clothes, stuff like that. That is like I know we're doing right now or at that moment. Sorry, I'm sitting on my legs and it hurts. So stuff that needs to be paid out right now for the kids, that has an envelope. And I put the cash stuff in envelope category. So there's gas, laundry, kids, miscellaneous. Miscellaneous covers everything that I might forget, and then household things like laundry detergent, which I usually coupon for that, and I have a large amount of laundry detergent. But I just, if I ever run out, or if there's a sale, then I go ahead and get it then, and I just take it from there. Dishwashing detergent, soap, toilet tissue, deodorants, stuff like that. Like stuff that we need around the house that is not under the food category. All food goes into the account. So I have two separate. I have a checking over here, I have a checking over here, and then I have a savings over here and a savings over here. I don't know. I'm just kind of crazy. So I like our $1,000 emergency. I have part of it, 700 of it in this bank over here, and then I have the other 300 over here in this bank because we had an emergency over the summer, and they tell you with an emergency, sleep on it and make sure it's really an emergency before you spend the money. But this was an emergency where it needs to get done. But I had to wait until the next day over here at this bank because this bank is a local bank and they close at 4. And they're not like, you know how like Wells Fargo, you can call them anytime. This bank, after business hours, you cannot call them. And the way that I set this account up, it's like hidden money. So I don't spend it. I kind of hide it over there. So it's hidden. Like I can't even transfer money from it on my online banking, any of that. So I had to wait until 7:30 when the earliest branch opens up across town and go transfer that money that I needed. For this bank over here, I can get to it whenever I need. And I feel like I'm going to make this less because I don't know. Besides that emergency, it was an emergency, but the money went right back into the account. Besides that, we haven't had any emergencies. And I feel like that is one thing with the emergency fund. People are like, why do you need an emergency fund? Because I feel like once you have an emergency fund, less stuff hits the fan. Or you're just like, oh, that doesn't really bother me. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like the dryer situation, it's kind of inconvenient, but it's not that inconvenient. Like if I was working full time, it'd be inconvenient. But I go twice a week. it doesn't really cost that much. It costs me like $3 a week to dry our clothes. Budget $3 a week for that, and I usually stay under. And if we find loose quarters around the house, they go into the laundry fund. So that's not really tracked that well, but whatever. So yes, there's sinking funds, there's envelopes, there's regular accounts. But yeah, that's what we're working with. My current debt, which since I started this video, or I had a pause in this video. I don't remember if I told you my total amount of debt. My total amount of consumer debt is was $10,222. When we started in June 15th was the day that I was like, I'm declaring that we're getting out of debt. That was the amount. Since then, we've paid just over $300 in extra debt payments. So above and beyond, look at that junk back there now, because I was sorting through it when I was on the phone. Above and beyond our minimum payments, we've paid just over $300 in extra payments since June 15th, and today is August 7th. So that's where we are with that. So I feel like it's working when you give every dollar a name, because then you don't go spend like little extra dollars at the dollar store when you're going to get your kids something and you're like, oh, it's only $1. Dollars add up. And just little knickknacks that we don't need. Online shopping, stuff like that. What else? Okay, so my goal to be completely debt free is June of 2019, and I'm sure that will be moved up if I go to work full time, or if I create that full-time income with my business. So the goal is for it to be before that, but that is like the end all be all of goals. And our house, the house goal, because we would like to be in a house, because right now, I don't know if I said this in the last clip, we'd really like to be in a house because our children, we do have a large play area or a large grassy area outside of our apartment, but we live on the second floor, and if we have a rainy day or the kids are it's too hot, like, they're limited to a certain amount of things that are quiet, because we don't want to disturb the neighbors downstairs, because these walls and this floor is paper thin and you can hear everything, and I just don't want to be those people where their kids running around all day. They have their moments, but I can't make it an all day thing. And usually it turns to, oh, the quiet activities are watching TV or being on a tablet. And over the summer I did get out of the box. We did like certain days where we do like Lego challenges. We'd build stuff out of Legos. We make Lego communities. Like whatever we built, we'd have a community and we'd play with our Legos that day. And that literally, we could do that all day because I love Legos. And then we do like art projects, which are quiet. Make slime, stuff like that. Which I don't like slime. But whatever, keep the kids entertained and quiet. So what else did I talk about? I think that's it. In a future video I'll break down exactly how much we have in each debt category or each piece of debt. Right now we have 3 active credit cards, and I have some stuff in collections, which really sucks. When we had our really rough period in life, which was when I was pregnant with Kiana, we could barely pay our bills. We were just kind of like paying something and then like paying the minimum on a card and then using it to pay something else. So and then there was a point where I just had to decide, okay, this is what we're not paying and we're just gonna let it go to collections, and this is what we are paying. And that stuff is still in collections, most of it. Some of it's been paid off, other stuff hasn't. I did have a student loan, and I paid that off last March, just because it was to the point where the balance was so low, it was like, okay, let's just pay it off. And it did make my credit score drop almost 100 points, but since then I've been able to gain that 100 points back. So it sucked initially, but we're good now. So yeah, that's pretty much where I am in life. So I will see you in my next video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Be sure to hit me up over on Instagram if you have any questions. It's kind of hard to answer questions on the comments here because it just, I don't know. So if you have any questions, you can message me on Instagram. I'll put a link down below to my Instagram and I'll put it at the end of this video. But I hope you have a great day and I will see you on the next one. Bye.